says if President Obama wants an instant boost to the economy, he needs to make drilling a priority. And he's joined by Craig Huey and Simon Rosenberg. Todd, take it.
It's so important for our economy to grow, and the energy sector is one of the main movers of our economy, and this is a wonderful thing. We have these natural resources that we can tap safely because we've been fracking since the early 50s. And we have this huge proven reserve that we can put people to work. You have 500,000 people start working in the next 3 years. You'd have up to 2.5 million people working by 2020. You have massive amounts of tax revenue, billions of dollars flowing into our state coffers that need it really bad here in California. It's a win-win-win. I mean, realize that even Lisa Jackson, the former EPA administrator, says there is no proven case where a fracking process has affected groundwater.
All right, Simon, what do you make of all that?
Well, I think the economic benefits are very real, and I think the governor of the state has said that he really wants to do everything he can to make sure that California realizes the benefits. Two things. We've got to protect public health and make sure we do this properly. And the second thing is there are other business interests here. Agricultural, tourism industries want to make sure that nothing that gets done could disrupt their businesses too. But I think California is well on their way to being a major supplier of new gas and oil for the United States, helping us become energy independent in the next 10 years.
You know, Craig Huey, it seems like California wants the oil revenues without the oil and all the issues around it, right? I mean, let's just go through the numbers quickly for the viewer. We're talking about California possibly having 2/3 of all of the contiguous 48 states reserves, oil reserves there. That's double the Bakken Shale Formation in North Dakota and the Eagle Ford in Texas combined. I mean, so what is the problem? Why doesn't California just go after it?
Well, it's hard for a lot of people to understand because we're talking about massive prosperity. We're talking about massive amount of jobs. We're talking about a state that's losing people, actually people coming back to California. We're talking about a situation where the liberal Democrats in Sacramento have bills right now to put a moratorium for the next 10 years on being able to do fracking while they study it. Well, really what they want to do is kill it. And here's the thing. This fracking will create prosperity for small business owners such as myself. It will create prosperity for people who right now are desperate for jobs. It will create an economic boom that's huge. And the risks are very small, but the upside potential, it's incredible.
You know, here's the issue, and it's about getting people on board. You know, Todd Weileman, there's a growing number of Democrats in Washington, for example, who are coming around to the idea of the Keystone Pipeline. There are 7 who have now joined 45 Republicans saying, you know what, that's the way to go. Because if you don't have the pipeline, you're just going to ship that oil via truck, via other more polluting ways, you know, or by train, and you're going to send it to what? China has no polluting standards. Pollution standards, rather. And so isn't that the same issue at play in the state of California?
Pretty much, Liz. Environmentalists have created this wonderful story about how fracking makes your tap water get lit on fire, makes it combustible. But the truth is that's naturally occurring methane gas. You know, environmentalists say the fracking is destroying livestock and destroying farmland. That's not true. It would make sense, in a sense, when you're looking at fracking and the chemicals that they use, but realize that when they frack and they hydraulically inject the fracking solution into the ground, it's going thousands of feet down. I mean, groundwater is within 1,000 feet. So, I mean, while it makes sense to the environmentalists, if they would actually just cool off a little bit, step back from it, and actually look at the facts, they would be for fracking, they would be for the pipeline, they would be for cheap energy to help us grow our economy and to grow our wealth here in the United States.
You know, the thing is, Simon, what Todd is saying is about the fluid that's used for fracking. I know it's very heavy. It tends to congregate below the formations there and not get into the groundwater. The EPA has found. But Simon, you know what's missing in this whole argument is earthquakes. I mean, California is no stranger to earthquakes. You know, Oklahoma, we're seeing earthquakes in Arkansas. We're seeing earthquake tremors in Tennessee, states that are doing fracking. Is that an issue for the state of California?
I think that's why some in California are saying we just got to be careful and do it right and make sure that we know what we're doing before we go ahead. That's the responsible job of people in government. It's not their job to let it go willy-nilly, but to do it right so public health is protected, the tourism industry is protected, the ag industry, which if there was ever any kind of catastrophic pollution of groundwater California, a state that has very little water to begin with, could have enormous economic consequences for the 5th largest agricultural region in the world. So I think Jerry Brown is setting the right tone. And remember, a Democratic president has gotten out of the way here. Let's just be clear. The Democratic Party as a party is not against fracking or domestic production in the U.S. But Obama's gotten out of the way. We've seen an explosion of domestic production on his watch, and he's setting the right tone, I think, for the country right now.
Craig, do you agree with Simon that the president has gotten out of the way?
Well, the president is not helping the issue by ignoring the issue. And here in California, we got a situation where it's kind of like we have a California lottery winner. And the Democrats are trying to stop the redeeming of that ticket. We have an incredible economic boom ahead of us that's going to solve a lot of economic problems. Washington's not helping, and the politicians in Sacramento, they're trying to stop it. So I'm really worried that we're not going to see the progress that can be made, and we're not going to see a path to success that could happen if we allow this.
To Craig's point, Todd, is it a matter of a leap of faith that technology, it can be done right, Todd? Because I'll tell you something, there are estimates out already that natural gas will save American energy costs, American households in terms of their energy costs, more than the payroll tax cuts. So you wonder whether, government officials want to be able to commandeer and engineer the economy and don't like that the nat gas revolution is out of their hands. Is that a problem too?
That could be. I mean, environmentalists don't like us getting wealthier. Environmentalists think that any time we use hydrocarbons, we're hurting Mother Earth. I mean, we heard Yoko Ono, which is too bad, sing, and Sean Lennon sing, which was pretty good. But the key here, though, is reality, and it's not a leap of faith that fracking is safe. It's a leap of faith that fracking is not safe.
To your point, I mean, these are the same group of celebrities, Daryl Hannah, Yoko Ono, who's always been complaining about, in their world, that there are other people who agree with them, who say, listen, we got to get off Mideast oil. So this is one of the best ways to get off Mideast oil. So what are they complaining about? We could do it right here. Go ahead.
It's emotionalism. It's negative publicity. It's like Gasland, the documentary that was based on lies and not truth. And so, they're not scientists. They're actors. They're singers. They're thespians. They're not rigorous scientific method type of people. And so they don't look at the facts. They just go off on emotion. But it would be a huge boon to us because we would be energy independent. We wouldn't be shipping massive amounts of money to countries that don't like us and treat women like dogs. So it's like a win-win-win. People have jobs. Energy costs come down. That's like a huge tax cut to the whole economy. Well, when gasoline goes back to $2 a gallon, trust me, you'll have more money to spend. And as you're spending that more money, our economy is going to grow.
Yeah, and it goes to $5 a gallon. Boy, you're going to hear more about it, right? Again, you've been terrific. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Next
Liz.
up, you will not believe this story that's coming.